welcome to this week's office tidy and catch up. Because just let me set this up on dashboard. I haven't been able to be in my office all week. The last day I was allowed in my office was like 3 days ago. More than. When was the last day I was allowed in my office? I want to say Sunday. Sunday feels right. Because trip over a wire. There were electrical issues in my office, and so we had to wait for an electrician to show up. So that's all fixed. I'm allowed in my office again, and now I get to tidy up because I've been living upstairs and have moved basically a third of the stuff I was using upstairs. I will say it has not been a super heavy pen week because I've been editing Philly content. And once I finished editing Philly content, I went, I cannot look at another pen for a couple days. So there have been a couple pens that I'm using, but other than that, it has actually mostly been cookbooks, as you can see from the decimated shelf, and traveler stuff. Because we're well and truly into garden planting. I'm actually soaking seeds right now for planting this afternoon. So we're going to put away stuff. We're going to put away some pens. We're going to sort out pens for cleaning. And then I think that's probably it. We're also going to put away some stuff that still hasn't gone away since Philly because I am a chaotic mess. And I did not put away everything when I got home from Philly. So it happens, but let's start with, what's this case? What are you? You're empty sample vials. You are this drawer. Mystery 10. Actually, it's pilot nibs. But which pilot nibs is the real question. Oh, an inked pilot nib and an uninked pilot nib. So the inked one has to be cleaned. The uninked one will just go in the bin of nibs. This, though, will go... Do I have a pen cleaning pile yet? No. I don't really want to put this out loose. Where am I going to put this? Where am I going to put this? All right, it's going to live on the lid of a Christie's cracker tin that normally has ink samples in it. Don't know where the tin is. With the Fine Writing International pen kit, which I'm still doing like a long-term test of. I used it once, so I wrote with it, I recapped it, and that was a couple weeks ago, and I'm seeing how long it can go in between writing sessions while still working. So far, it's doing pretty well. Those are all to be cleaned. I feel like these should get cleaned. I haven't used these in a couple weeks. These are pens that I had inked for my Christmas, like how to ink pens video that came out on Boxing Day. Yeah, I feel like these are all getting cleaned. They're gonna go in the tray with the other pens I have to clean. Which then I guess I can pop the nib into because I'll finally have a spot for it. Also, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask them. And I will do my best to answer them. All right. So there's the to be cleaned pile so far. Esterbrook blotting paper. I feel like I have more of that somewhere. I probably do. There's a pen case. That goes up there. And then we have a Delphonics bag, which is not as heavy as it's been in the past, but it's still pretty heavy. Filming phone, which was an old iPhone of Maya's. A set of mics. An adapter for mics. My current favorite pens. I know I've talked about them before. I talked about them in a Goldspot article. I've talked about them in my Goldspot recap article. I sort of forget how much I like these pens until I start to use them again. And then I remember that I absolutely adore these pens. So these are the Zebra Sarasa 05 vintage colors. Are these my favorite colors in the vintage set? No. Are they a super great selection of colors in the vintage set? Yes. And I'm sort of obsessed with them right now. I have the blue, the ochre, the purple, the brown, and the red. And I'm currently using the red one only in my Love and Trip, and it's been great. Those, though, go over by my desk. What else is in here? Clips, which also go over on my desk. And satin finish Scotch tape, which I think is totally underrated. I have been hoarding this roll for a very long time. To the extent that Mom didn't actually know I owned it. It came when I bought somebody's craft room. I think it's one of the best, like, random art supplies out there. This feels too full. Is it? Or am I just... Yep, there's not what I thought was extra in here, but that shouldn't be in here. That shouldn't be in here, right? That is everything that goes in here. And now this is going away. Mics. Go in the lights and mics and lighting box. As does this phone, which goes down there for now. These are headphones, which I'm going to want at some point. Back to the desk. I have to say, so I've redone this office now that it's got the new bookshelf desk in here. And I like the new setup. I've now got like my little cubby of supplies right next to my editing desk. And I really like that. I've never had that before with any of my desks. And I actually think that's really great because it lets me create in the same space that I'm working, which I've been adoring. This bag is really heavy. All right. Oh, that was rude. The very, very heavy bag, which is also my pen show bag normally, but I do actually use it in day-to-day life. 2 travelers right now, gardening every day. Those are just gonna slide down there for now. Another notebook. This one is from a hand-me-down from Kari, actually. I don't know what the paper size is. I like the paper size, so I have to find out what the paper size is. I think it's B5. I might be wrong, but I do like the paper size. My Amanda Rach Lee bullet journal. So remember when I said I wasn't going to give up on this very quickly? I thought I'd last until like May or June before I started to get burnt out on it. That was a lie. When was the last time I did anything in here? The 22nd. It's been very cold and very snowy, and I haven't been using a daylight enough. And because of that, the desire to do anything in said bullet journal has disappeared. Planning, gone out the window. So I'm hoping it'll be like other years that once I'm looking outside and it's less white, and it's less sort of oppressively cold, I will feel the desire to do it. We'll have to see. I'm not super hopeful right now, but I am going to color February's probably today or tomorrow, and we'll see where that takes me. That being said, it goes all the way over there. And now we get to my favorite part, which is currently cookbooks and garden catalogs. So Richards and Silver Creek Nurseries, two great Canadian nurseries that are not that far from us in southern Ontario. And we just ordered trees, so they'll be here. I say just, we ordered trees like a month ago because we learned our lesson last year. And we're not doing that again this year. So this is why I needed the satin tape. This cookbook was really great. Wendy Sue brought it to me at Philly because members saw that I had quite the cookbook haul from Philly. Thank you, Wendy. And I picked this up, was super excited about it, super happy with it. And then like 2 days into using it, all of a sudden this spine totally fell apart, which is sort of understandable. I bought a used cookbook. I knew it wasn't going to be perfect. I did not expect the entire front cover to detach from the back cover. I've never had that happen with a book before. So I very carefully went in and I glued all the little bits down. As you can see on the inside, I glued all the little bits down. And then we used satin tape over top. So it is not perfect, but it is good enough. So I'm gonna, clearly there's a rainbow order going on here because why not? So this goes in here. This goes in here. Get the moose back in business in a second. Normally I go from the other way across because that's easier, but the books at the very end are at the very bottom of this pile. So let's free them, I guess. Make my life easier. All right. Yeah, I know. Please don't do that. That's really rude. Also, if you're on Instagram, you've heard me talk about these this week. These little brass Midori page tabs. They're so expensive. I thought they were so ridiculous, but I had affiliate credit to use before it expired on Jan 15th. And so I ordered a set because I was like, I always need little bookmark things, and I don't love the sticky tabs depending on the book. Depending on the paper, they sometimes tear. And sometimes I want to mark things permanently. I was like, I'll just order a set. Then I've got a set. I'm sure I'll find a use for them. And there's something that I'll never buy normally at retail price. And I'm loving them. And I'm like, I wish I had ordered so many more sets of these because I've almost used all of them up in books, marking things that I reference all the time. And I have discovered there's a company that makes little like flat ones. But I like that these ones sit out. So I'm probably going to have to buy more of these. I don't know that I'll buy the brass ones. The brass ones are more expensive than the other colors, but I am very partial to the brass ones. Oh, I think I decided that you went in here last time. Yeah, sure. Do that. That's fine. Oh, you're actually blue. All right, last four. Oh, this is a new acquisition this week. Mom and I went to a thrift store and this was $4. And what I love is that in the back of it, it tells you all the chefs and all the European restaurants they've worked on. So I bought this very pretentious cookbook. Oh. Yeah. I think the Midori ones are cheaper on JetPens. So I have to come to my computer screen to read the comments because YouTube does not let me blow up the comment section bigger. And I'm blind as a bat. I wish YouTube let me change the font size of comments, but they don't. I'm so glad I was able to fix the book. It made me so happy that I was. And now it's great. And I've been using it a whole bunch. So I will admit, I was the kid. As a child, I sorted my books alphabetically. And I did have these sorted alphabetically by author's last name because that is the child I was. And I just didn't think it looked as good with these. So many of the spines of these are so colorful that I felt like it sort of also, like, you lost something by doing that. And so now here we are. Don't do that. Oh, you're not gonna fit. Shit. I hadn't considered that. Oh, I don't want to put you somewhere else. You're too tall. You're not too tall because there's a lip on the inside. I'm just never going to be able to get you out easily. No, you are too tall. You're too wide. Oh. I hadn't considered this as a possibility. I don't really want to move it up a shelf. Well, Euro delicacies, your time with me may be short. Because I don't know that I can deal with you not fitting. I don't like this here today. Something tells me that you were actually back here and you were in here. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. Well, at least you were only $4. I'll cook with it a couple times. I'll figure out if I like it. If I like it, I'll find a spot for it. If I don't, it will go somewhere else. So the issue is there are 4 binders missing from that shelf. So I've already got a space issue up there. I'm trying not to add stuff to that shelf. So it does become an option of, like, I could move it onto, I'll turn you and you can see, I could move it onto one of the ink shelves, rearrange. Because this has to come down and this has to come down. These shelves have to be flipped so that they're the right way. And that's a whole rigmarole that I talked about in the desk video, where these shelves aren't the right way. They're backwards, and they have been since the desk was installed. So I could do that, but I don't really want to. So the other option, coming back to this desk, is that, could I get enough space up here? Nowhere close. There is there. Okay. So right now I have pencil crayons, and pencil crayon sets up top. Sure, that's fine. At least you're not breakable. I will accept that. All right. So nibs could move to this top shelf, which is not what I really want to do. In turn, these coloring books and magazines, I could move this shelf down one, and whatever fits up here could move up here. And whatever doesn't fit up here would stay on this shelf. No, I don't really like that. The other reality is I might just hate the cookbook once I start cooking with it. But it is partially written by Michelin star chefs all over Europe, and it's dessert recipes they love, so I don't think I'm going to hate it as somebody who functions off of carbs and sugar. Won't fit on the other one because it's the same height. Okay. I don't think this problem is being solved today. A, I'm too tired. B, my brain is too busy trying to solve other problems right now to solve this problem, but it is going to be a back of the brain problem that at some point I'm going to figure out the solution to. For now, though, it's going to join the pink binder on the floor in the pile of shame because the pink binder also doesn't fit on this desk. So, I already have a pile of shame. So let's come over to this section. No coaster. Coaster. And also these. I didn't think these would be great. I picked up these this year at Atlas. No, I didn't buy these at Atlas. I bought these at Madoku, but Atlas has them. Pretty much everyone who stocks Travelers gets these at some point. They sell it really fast, though. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to like them. They're sort of redundant. You don't need them. And yet, I've been using them all the time. I use them for writing in the car. I use them for writing on my lap. They're great. And I'm so glad I bought both sizes. I actually wish I bought 2 of the large size because then I wouldn't have to switch my writing board back and forth and could do things on both pages. It's a good insult. All right, Travelers. Also, there will be a story about the Levin trip. I did get a DM about it a couple days ago on Instagram about the fact that it's the wrong color. I know it's the wrong color. There's a very long story about why it's now the wrong color. Some things happened. We're just going to leave it at that. There we go. That actually feels better. What's in this? With my little Ontario. Is that Lamb Farmers of Ontario? I don't know. Can you tell I'm an ag kid yet? If not, the fact that this Travelers is just amateur hunter adult courses should give you a pretty good indication that, well, this is a pen account. I was also an partial ag kid and am now partially an ag adult. I do really like this cookbook collection. I have to say, like, this is a household that has no shortage of cookbooks. There are shelves and shelves of cookbooks upstairs. But the thing about these cookbooks is they're my cookbooks. Some of them I bought when I was going to first year university. Some of them have been more recent acquisitions. I have a couple more upstairs that haven't come down because they're actually in rotation. But everything else here is a cookbook that is mine. And I sort of love that. It's also interesting. These two have the same logo on them, but are 2 different publishers. One's Quarry and one's Fair Winds. I love this cookbook collection. It's also really random. It covers a whole, thing from like Canadian classics from the Laura Secord cookbook, which I think most people's grandparents had, to several Jewish cookbooks. Because if you're dairy free, I've found over the years that kosher meat cookbooks for high holidays are the best dairy free dessert cookbooks. So I have 2 actually. because they don't mix meat and dairy. And so there's never going to be a cookbook for meat holiday that has dairy in it. And if you're dairy-free but not gluten-free, it's really hard to find a good dairy-free cookbook. So I have 2 actually kosher baking cookbooks that are both, well, one's dairy-free and one has like changes for dairy in it, which are great. Dairy-free baking's hard. I think that's the hardest thing. Like, good dairy-free baking's hard. And then a whole bunch of different vinegar and drink ones, because when you can't drink alcohol, drinks can be really boring, but you can make them really fun at home. And so that is my personal cookbook collection. It is expansive. I suspect it will get maybe more expensive. I'm being more picky though. There are a couple things I'm looking at secondhand, but really I only buy my cookbook secondhand because there are so many cookbooks out there that I think I've only bought one of these new. And that was, oh, I bought 2 of these new. I bought this one new and I bought this one new. And it's because I couldn't find either used. Other than that though, I buy everything secondhand. Because you can often get them for a really good price because people think they're going to get into pickling their own things or making their own bread, and then they discover that maybe they don't want to. Secondhand cookbooks are great. Pens, watercolor, culinary stuff, ag stuff, it all works. It does. I remember at one point saying to somebody that I was happy when I was just as comfortable wandering a fish farm on a tour with a group of people in agriculture as I was at a pen show. Like, I could keep up with the conversation, I knew what was going on, and I could participate in the conversation. I was so happy because I could balance both worlds. It's interesting to be someone that's been around agriculture all their lives. I find there's a real disconnect in the world between food on your plate and where it comes from and the people that produce said food. And I've always grown up knowing where my food was coming from because my family was in agriculture. Well, my parents weren't, my grandparents and my aunts and uncles were. Dairy-free baking is so hard. It's easier when you find people that are really good at it, and because Jews don't mix meat and dairy, they're already really good at it. And so I just go for people that I know are going to be really good at it. And I've found over the years that like dairy-free Jewish cookbooks tend to be the best baking books that I've ever tried. Also because they very much don't mix meat and dairy, and so you are never going to find a dairy-free cookbook that has any ingredients that include anything to do with dairy. Ooh. So currently, this one is my favorite. It's called Zero Proof, Drink Some More. The other one is called Wild Drinks and Cocktails. It's published in the UK. That being said, it's not all non-alcoholic. You just sort of have to pick and choose your recipes and you can make things non-alcoholic. But Zero Proof is one of my favorite non-alcoholic drink cookbooks. I've only had it since Philly, and I've made 3 of the syrup she uses in it. And I've used them in like soda water from a soda stream, and then I've used them in like tea and stuff, and they're delicious. That being said, there is like a learning curve, and if you don't live in a household that has the ingredients, you might have to go out and buy some stuff. I also found that Abe Books in the States had a whole bunch of copies of it. especially in the beginning of January. So I think people got it for Christmas thinking they were going to, make their own non-alcoholic drinks and decided against it. And so I think retail on this was like 25 USD, and I think I got mine for like $9 including shipping. So I would say see if you can pick up a secondhand copy. My copy is secondhand and is pristine. There is not a scratch on it. The spine was not cracked. I think the person got it for Christmas and didn't even open it. So I love it. It's great. And so far, it's been really nice. And it's also got a really good index at the back. So if you want to look up things by like flavor profile, so basil or things that include bitters or things that include blackberries or blueberries or grapefruit or jalapenos, like you can do all that. I find that sometimes the index for non-alcoholic drink books or books on drinks in general is not great. This though is my favorite. I think it will probably be my favorite for a long time because it is just very complete in its instructions. And luckily, like, we keep a fairly stocked spice cabinet and a fairly diverse group of vinegars in the house. And because of that, I've had no issue making the recipe so far. But I think if you don't keep that sort of stuff on hand, it might be a little bit more challenging. You might have a bigger upfront cost. So far, I don't think, other than buying the book, there's been any input costs because I've just been raiding the cellar and the spice cabinet. So it's been great. I love it. It's made me very happy. The other good one is, well, there's one recipe I really like in artisanal drinks, and that's the lavender lemonade syrup. That being said, this book is not non-alcoholic. It's delicious alcoholic and soft drinks at home. And so if you're trying to make them non-alcoholic, you do have to do a bit more work. But I do find the syrup recipes in this book excellent. So, if you have a friend that wants the alcoholic recipes and you want the non-alcoholic recipes, that's great. I only use about a quarter of the book. And I really haven't explored wild drinks and cocktails yet because it's the middle of winter. And this is all about things you can find in your own backyard. So I will probably start exploring this more in a couple weeks when we're looking more at plants and sort of herbs and spices to grow. For now, though, it's a bit too summery, whereas this one so far has a lot of like ginger and other warming stuff in it that I've really been enjoying in the winter. This is, so here you go. I don't know that this is still the cover of it. This is a very old copy of it. Mom actually found this in her cookbook stash and was going to cull it, and it has since come home with me to my cookbook stash. So of all the books I got at Abe Books, this was the only one that actually showed any wear and tear, and it just had a library stamp on the top of it. And I have no issues with that. So there's my entire cookbook collection right now. But I like them all. Like, they're all fun. It's been fun. I also bought shrubs, which I haven't really dug into. I like shrubs. In theory, I like shrubs. It's very... I already make them. The issue with it, just on first glance, I'm finding, is that it's leaning more alcoholic than the reviews were making it sound like it was. And so it's just going to involve more work. That being said, they have things like blueberry lavender shrubs. And a shrub is just a syrup made with vinegar and stuff. And they're tasty. So I think I'll use the syrups in here, but not the drink recipes. Basically, my order from Aid Books was 3 books on non-alcoholic drinks, 3 baking books, and 3 vinegar adjacent books. So I think that is where this has to end for the day, because we have somebody coming at 1:30. It's almost 1:30. Oh, it's actually sunny. I can count the number of days I've seen sun this month on my hand, and I don't like that. Also, in a matter of days, hopefully, we will have the link for the 2026 Sporting Life 10K. There will once again be a Team Alexandra in support of what was Camp Ooch, what is now Camp Fire Circle, which is the pediatric oncology camp in Ontario. Every year it happens. In the past, I don't know how much we've raised. We've raised quite a lot in the past 5 years, 6 years. And so we're doing a team again this year. Anyone can sign up around the world. And I believe if you're in the US, they still ship you your kit if you want it. So there will be a registration link if you want to run virtually. And I will, as always, promote the link. So thanks for hanging out this morning and early afternoon. And I will see you tomorrow for a video. My arm is really shaky. And then next week, Philly recap, because again, I can finally use my office again. So there will be a Philly recap next week, and then we will go from there. But for now, have a good Thursday.